What's up, boxing fans? This is TBE Boxing, back at you again. Today's topic, nuclear option, Ngannou in negotiation with Deontay Wilder. Wilderettes, get out your crying towels. Let's chop it up and see what it's all about.
Got the money for minutes, pretty bitch, gotta show me titties. This is the life that I chose, huh? On the block with the pole, huh? This is the life that I chose, huh? On the block with the pole, huh? Just like it's a bitch, huh? And I got the glizzy, run up on me, I'ma make you get it. I'ma make you get it.
Okay, boxing fans, this is TBE Boxing, and we're gonna chop it up. We're talking about the Wilder and Ngannou situation. Let's not waste any time. Let's go straight to the videotape, and let's see what's popping.
Ngannou, Wilder. They was talking about it before, and that two big guys punch really hard. But now, after seeing that fight, a lot of people
Yeah.
kind of saying, "Well, damn, now we kind of really want to see this fight." So, what do you think about it, man?
Well, the we already in communications about it. We already in communications about it. He's an option now, and
Did
we're
the
gonna see where things go.
did the communication start? Because I know there was communication beforehand, but did the communication start again, like in like the last 24
Yeah.
hours?
Okay, boxing fans, you heard it yourself. That was Malik Scott talking about, that Ngannou is now an option, and that they're actually talking about the Ngannou fight, and we could possibly see that fight soon. Okay, it's a distinct possibility. So that fight is definitely a possibility. We might see that fight soon. Uh, I hope we do see it. It'll be a great fight, and so we're gonna chop that up, and we're gonna talk about, what to expect in this fight. That's a possible coming up between Ngannou and Deontay Wilder. All right, so let's take a look at what actually is going on right now, because it looks like Ngannou is basically one of the most, probably if not the most sought after fighter in the heavyweight division, probably in boxing right now. It looks like, okay, everybody wants to get a piece of Ngannou. Everybody's looking to you know have some of that Ngannou magic rub off on them. We already saw Eddie Hearn come out and trying to push Anthony Joshua for the next fight with Ngannou. So it looks like Ngannou has a lot of options right now. He has Deontay Wilder out there, and from what we are hearing from, not just from Malik Scott, but even from Ngannou himself. He's been talking about, you know, he's been talking about working with Deontay Wilder, not just in boxing, but there's some talk about Deontay Wilder actually going in the cage and fighting. Now this is from Deontay Wilder himself. I saw an interview recently with Deontay Wilder where he talked about, there's a possibility of him going in the cage to fight Ngannou. If they fight in boxing first, and then Deontay said he's willing to go into the cage and fight Ngannou in an MMA fight. So that's great news from Deontay Wilder. I mean, if truth be known, ever since Deontay Wilder kind of lost to Tyson Fury, there hasn't been much excitement in the heavyweight division. since Deontay has been gone. We have Tyson Fury, out there. I mean, it's hard to say what's going on with Tyson Fury. He's not really, to me. Tyson Fury is not really representing as a heavyweight. He's not really representing the division very well, and there's not but confusion and the whole heavyweight division. Like I said previously in the video, previously is just lackluster. It's boring, dead. The heavyweight division is dead with Tyson at the head of it as the number one guy. We have seen that Usyk have been trying to get Tyson in the ring for a good while now. It hasn't happened yet. Supposedly it's going to happen in December, but from what we heard from Tyson after the fight with Ngannou, he said, "See you next year." So it looks like that fight's not going to happen in December. So until Ngannou's arrival on the scene, boxing, especially in the heavyweight, heavyweight division is basically dead. Really, it was not really going on. Okay, so now with talks, between Ngannou and Deontay Wilder, and talks between uh, Matchroom and possibly Ngannou. We hear Matchroom trying to throw their hat into the ring. So a lot could be happening, soon in boxing. It could be getting very exciting soon. We could see some excitement, and this is what people need in boxing, especially the heavyweight division right now, because like I said, the heavyweight division with Tyson at the head of it has been hasn't been good at all. I mean, Tyson is not really fighting anyone. He's not making the exciting fights that people want to see. He probably thought this fight with Ngannou was going to be just a wash, something that he could just go in there and knock Ngannou out and yeah, have some bragging rights, and then for his rematch with not rematch but his fight with Usyk in December. But it didn't turn out that way for Tyson. He almost lost the fight, and that probably could have jeopardized his fight in December with Usyk. So now a lot of people, I've been trying to get. I've been looking forward to the fight with Tyson Fury and Usyk, and been, a lot of people been talking about this fight, and the boxing pundits and so forth and so on. I've been demanding that fight. Usyk has been demanding the fight, but Tyson's been playing coy, playing games as usual. We gotta understand something about Tyson, because I don't know if a lot of people remember when Tyson first won the title in against Klitschko. We remember what happened after that. He retired. I mean, he basically went into a depression, according to him, and drug use and the whole 9 yards, and was on the couch for a couple of years. I heard he approached near 400 pounds. He was so fat, and all of this. And this was after winning the title at heavyweight division. And the reasoning for all of that was the fact that he wasn't getting the accolades that he thought he deserved after winning the title. So he just got despondent. So I don't know what's up with Tyson Fury. I mean, mentally, sometimes he seems like he's okay. Seems like an okay guy. He seems like a decent guy. I mean, as a person, I can't really tell. I don't know him personally, but he seemed like a okay guy. I mean, at the end of the day, sometimes he seems, uh, more restrained than other times, but he seemed like he likes to have a lot of fun and all of that. But at the end of the day, as a heavyweight champion, and we have heard people out there saying that he's one of the greatest heavyweight champions. We even heard top rank Bob Arum describing as the greatest champion, even greater than Muhammad Ali, greater than the champions of yesteryear. Personally, that's hard for me to say that, because at the end of the day, I don't really think Tyson would have lasted 3 rounds with a prime uh, Holyfield, or any one of those fighters from back when Holyfield was a heavyweight champion. Okay, I don't think Tyson would have lasted with those guys. Those guys was hard. I mean, Larry Holmes, all these. I just don't see Tyson being able to beat none of those guys. Okay, I'm sorry. I don't see it. So talk about Tyson being one of the greatest fighters in the history of boxing is just talk. Because at the end of the day, when we look at the heavyweight division that Tyson took over when he first became champion, uh, and then subsequently he came back and won the title again after being on the couch, like I said, for a couple of years. It's a the heavyweight division he took the title from. I mean, the title he took from Klitschko. Klitschko had reigned for almost like 10, 11 years over a heavyweight division that was totally, you know, it was even if you could even call it a heavyweight division. So basically, Klitschko ruled over a division that was non-existent. Basically, it wasn't anybody there that could take on Klitschko. The heavyweight division was very weak during the Klitschko reign, which is why he reigned for so long. Because the heavyweight division was very weak. Because a guy like Klitschko should never have reigned for that long. And we see the same thing happening with Tyson in that he took over. He retired a little bit after that, then he came back, beat Deontay Wilder, okay, and now he's the head of the division. Supposedly, I mean, you have Usyk out there, but the heavyweight division is very weak right now. Besides Usyk and Fury, there's not much out there. I mean, who do you have? Hellenius and Jagba, Jared Anderson, and all these guys. I mean, these guys are not. It's it's not exactly gonna blow you out of the water, with their skills and all of that. So I don't really see the heavyweight division as being very strong at the moment. So the fact that Ngannou is now a part of the mix, it's kind of bring back some excitement and some challenge to the heavyweight division because now we have a guy who can stand up to Wilder, to to, uh, Fury and anybody else at the heavyweight division. So with Ngannou being in the mix right now, it's a good thing, and the heavyweight division is coming back to life. It looks like okay, and this has been done single handedly by one guy, which is Ngannou. So Ngannou is in big demand right now. Okay, I mean he's basically the savior of the heavyweight division, and so you see everybody jumping out there. You see Eddie Hearn, you see Malik Scott, Wilder. Even though Wilder and I guess Ngannou have been talking for a couple of months now. I would think from what I'm hearing from both of these guys that they've been talking. So it's not a Johnny come lately thing with Wilder and Ngannou. They've probably been talking and maybe not negotiating, but discussing the fact that they could be put something together. And from what we are hearing, this is supposed to happen in Africa. Now, for those of you who don't know, Eddie Hearn, well, not Eddie Hearn, but Don Davis, who's the co-founder and chairman of the PFL, which is the promotion that Ngannou belongs to. Now they're talking about putting on. They have a Africa division to the PFL. They have a Europe, Africa, and Australia, I think, and some other countries. So they're talking. I think, from what I'm hearing, Ngannou is the head of the Africa division. He's in charge of that supposedly. And so, if the Deontay Wilder fight is going to happen in Africa, then Ngannou is going to have a big part of it. He's going to be a big part of that in terms, not just as a fighter, but as somebody that's doing the negotiations and being at the top as far as making the decisions and setting everything up. Because he's the guy that's going to be in charge of the African division, according to Don Davis of the PFL, who again is the co-founder and chairman of PFL Professional Fighters League. So now, Don Davis was on Ariel Helwani's show recently, and he was asked by Ariel about what's going to be the next fight for Ngannou. I remember, like I said, Don Davis is the chairman. Okay, he's the chairman and co-founder of the PFL. So Ariel Helwani asked him about, what's next for, what do you think is next for Ngannou? And Dom Davis said, well, I think he's gonna probably fight in April sometime. It's probably gonna be a boxing match, okay, and it's probably gonna be Wilder. So Don Davis, who's the you think that he would say something like it's going to be a PFL match next, or it's going to be a MMA match, but he said no, it's probably going to be a boxing match. And from what I'm hearing from Don Davis, he seemed very excited about the fact that Ngannou is getting so much accolades in the boxing world, okay, which kind of rubs off on the PFL because again, Ngannou is a PFL fighter, okay, he's a part of the PFL promotion, a big part of it, as a matter of fact, probably the main part of the PFL promotion, and the fact that he did so well against Tyson in the boxing match is making PFL look great. And Don Davis loves that. As a matter, he talked about that extensively on the Ariel show about the promotion and the marketing, the free marketing and promotion they're getting from the fact that Ngannou did so well against Tyson Fury, and he's loving it. So everything it looked like win-win for PFL for Ngannou and everybody involved in terms of marketing and promotion with what happened with Ngannou and Tyson Fury over the weekend. So a lot of stuff is happening right now. So you have Ngannou out there now being the almost I guess you could say the face of heavyweight division right now, and so everybody is trying to get a piece of the action, and more than likely, based on what we have been hearing so far, the person that's probably going to be is probably at the head of the line is probably Deontay Wilder. So we could have that fight possibly coming soon. Okay, Deontay Wilder versus the Predator, Bomb Squad. Okay, that should be a very exciting fight. Now, in terms of Deontay Wilder, we are knew what happened with with his three fights with Tyson Fury. We all saw what happened. Uh, he fought Tyson three times and he lost twice. Got stopped both times. So there's not much to say, you know, about that. Okay, we all saw what happened with that. Now, what can we expect from a Deontay Wilder Ngannou fight if this fight is if this fight is to happen, or if it does happen, anytime soon? And this is what we're gonna talk about here today. Should the Deontay Wilders or the Wilderettes break out their crying towels? Is Deontay Wilder, gonna be defeated by Ngannou? Now we saw how well that Ngannou did against excuse me. We saw how well Deontay did against Fury, and we saw that Ngannou did much better. Now we have to keep in mind though that the Deontay Wilder that we saw was the Deontay Wilder from over a year ago, basically, and I'm pretty sure Deontay Wilder has been working on his craft, since that time until now. And if you remember, right before the fight with Tyson, Deontay Wilder had got in with Malik Scott, and there was training for the last Wilder fight. They was bringing some new stuff to our Wilder's training, but we never really got a chance to see that. We saw a little bit of it in the third fight with Ngannou. I mean, excuse me, with Wilder and Fury. We saw a little bit of the Malik Scott influence, but we didn't see much of it because at the end of the fight, at the end of the day, Deontay kind of reverted back to his old self and ended up getting stopped by Fury in that fight. So we didn't get to see the full repertoire of what he was learning under Malik Scott. Now it's been a year that's passed so far now, and so I'm thinking that Deontay Wilder should be much more advanced in his training than he was when he fought Fury. Almost 2 years ago. So we should see a different Deontay Wilder, a more improved Deontay Wilder, a better fighter. Okay, I would think. I mean, I'm assuming that because it looks to me at the time while Malik Scott was doing his training that Wilder was improving a little. I mean, in terms of his boxing skill. So after a whole year and then some plus, we should see a much more advancement in Wilder and from where he was over a year ago, almost 2 years ago now. So I'm looking forward to that. I want to see what improvements Wilder has made. If he's a different fighter now, or he's added some more skills to his repertoire. And so this fight with Ngannou would be very interesting. Now, Ngannou seems to be a lot more powerful than Tyson Fury, and we saw that Tyson Fury basically kind of overpowered Deontay Wilder with his weight and his size. So I'm not sure if it's going to be, what's going to be the situation with Ngannou. Ngannou is more massive than Tyson. He's not taller as Tyson, but he's more massive in terms of, a mass, in terms of his, uh, you know, his frame. He's a massive frame, thicker frame than Tyson Fury. So it could conceivably cause even more problems for Deontay Wilder than Tyson Fury did. Okay. Uh, Now we saw that Ngannou can take a punch. I mean, he could even take an elbow, as we saw with Fury. Fury threw an illegal elbow, hit him right square in the face with the elbow, and then Ngannou just looked at him like, "Wait, what was that all about?" and just kept fighting. So it's a possibility that Ngannou could probably take one of Deontay's, you know, punches and don't even blink. We don't know, but we're gonna see. Eventually, if that if that's how it's gonna play out, because what if Deontay Wilder can't hurt Ngannou? Then he's gonna be in for a long night, as we saw with Tyson Fury, and you know. For a first time boxer, as we saw with Ngannou, his boxing skills is pretty good, and I mean, is he a better boxer than Tyson Fury? It's hard to say. One ordinarily nobody would think that, but I mean, after what the performance he did against Tyson Fury in his first boxing match, you got to give him credit, and say that, wow. I mean, if he was to really get back into training and really get another full camp and some more additional training, he could probably beat Fury, and many people believe that he already beat Fury. And there's an argument to be made for that he actually won that fight, and so a lot of people are making that argument, including Ngannou himself. So a fight between Ngannou and Deontay Wilder is a fascinating matchup, and a lot of people are looking forward to that fight, including myself. And it's gonna be for one thing, it's gonna be we know it's gonna be exciting because these guys are not going in there, to play around. I mean, you got two of the most explosive punchers in the heavyweight division. This is the what we call the nuclear option. So Ngannou. I mean, what if Ngannou was to stop Deontay Wilder? What would I say about Ngannou and about boxing? As you all know, there's a big controversy going on about MMA and boxing, and it's been going on for years. Uh, most boxers, most fighters from the UFC or MMA that comes into boxing usually get washed. As we saw with Mayweather, and the most famous instance of that being Mayweather and what's his name? Well, y'all know what I'm talking about. His name is slipping me right now, but yeah, him and Mayweather had a fight as an NFL MMA, and they boxed, and we all saw the result of that. It wasn't very good for him. Mayweather basically played with him and then stopped him. I think he was in the 10th round of that fight. So. Uh, this controversy about MMA versus boxing has been going on, and it looks like MMA has been taking a lot of losses. Okay, so for the first time, they got a win, and then well, almost a win, but they're looking at it as a win with Ngannou, and so Ngannou is the hero of the MMA right now. Uh, a lot of people are giving him credit for doing such a great job against making MMA look good. Okay. And paving the way for other MMA fighters to possibly get into boxing and probably do better, But I wouldn't put too much stock in that because at the end of the day, everybody is not an Ngannou, and so you have one or two guys in the MMA that might be exceptional. Ngannou being one of those guys, but for the most part, I don't think boxing having anything to worry about MMA fighters coming over and beating boxers. It's just not going to happen. I don't think. I think if there was to have, uh, 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 you know, if there was to have like a tournament of boxers versus MMA, and you had say 10 fights, I think out of the 10, boxing will probably win 9 out of 10 every time, or at least 8 out of 10. So I don't really see boxing as having to worry about any challenges from MMA fighters, generally speaking. So once in a while, you might get one or two guys like Ngannou or that might come out there and do well. But other than that, the boxers, is going to be the better. The boxers are going to be doing better. You know. That's just how I see that. Okay. Hold on there for a minute. Okay. So okay, here we go. All right. So at the end of the day, I don't think boxing is under any boxing have to worry about MMA at all. I think for the most part, the boxers will be the better fighters. Okay. At the end of the day, but this upcoming fight between Ngannou, if it happens, and Deontay Wilder, it's going to be fuel. It's going to add fuel to the fire, and we could see even more exciting fights between MMA fighters and boxers, in the near future. It could be this could open up the floodgates, and we could see a lot more cross promotion and fights going on between MMA fighters and you know MMA and boxing, and even probably even bare knuckle. We should do. I mean, there's a lot of MMA. And you have like MMA, you have Glory, you have PFL, I mean, you have Bellator, and as you can see, I'm showing some of these guys now, some of the MMA guys. This is by the way, this is TBE Combat Sports website. If you're going to check it out, you can go to YouTube and check out TB Combat Sports channel as well. We have a MMA channel. Go over there and subscribe. We're gonna be having MMA content. Okay. So this is the TBE box. And this is TB Combat Sport you're looking at right now. That's just the the slider. You're seeing different fighters. So make sure you go and check out the channel. We have a lot of good fights over there, and as a matter of fact, uh, if you go to TBE Boxing, what I'm going to show you right now, this is TBE Boxing you're looking at right now, and you can go over there and watch the Ngannou Tyson Fury fight in 4K. I have it in 4K. If you go right here to our TBE TV, you go there, click on it on TBE TV, and you can watch the Ngannou Tyson Fury fight just in case you haven't seen it yet. Okay. Also, we have some good fights on our TBE Combat Sports. Especially there's a great fight. There's some great bare knuckle fights there with Lorenzo Hunt. That guy is a killer. You should check those out. But like I said, as you can see, this is Clarissa. She's a PFL fighter. So is Ngannou. They're both on the PFL promotion. MMA. You see, Clarissa is doing MMA and boxing, and so Ngannou is going to do the same thing. Looks like now he's going to be, fighting in MMA and fighting in boxing. And we're probably going to see a lot more fighters do that from the MMA. If once Ngannou open the door wide open, he's basically kicking the door in, and so we might see a lot more of these fights. Happening in the near future with these PFL fighters. There's a lot of good PFL fighters out there, and not just PFL, but you have, like I said, Bellator and Ryzen. You have a lot of MMA promotions out there, and so we could be for some exciting times. We could have a lot more crossover champions, fighters who are both MMA and boxing. Depending on how everything plays out with this Ngannou and Deontay Wilder, or Ngannou and Anthony Joshua, because like I talked about previously, Eddie Hearn seemed very excited about this, and because at the end of the day, Joshua has been kind of lackluster himself. After his two losses to Usyk, we haven't really heard much about him. He had another fight with some guy, I forgot his name. I think it's the second time they fought. So, there's not much going on for Joshua right now since he lost the title. So a fight with a guy like Ngannou, who's everybody's talking about right now, especially after that win, well, that semi-win against Fury, that moral victory against Fury, that could add some excitement, back to Anthony Joshua, put him back in the mix again and put his name back in there, because the only thing we've been talking about with Joshua has been his possibly fighting Deontay Wilder, and that those talks have been going on for years with no results whatsoever, and it looked like there wasn't any results coming anytime soon anyway, even at this juncture. And so now that we have Ngannou on the scene, a lot of things have changed, and people have more options, and so it's not surprising that we see Eddie Hearn running out there with running out there offering up offering up Anthony Joshua to Ngannou, because that's a big fight. And that would be a huge fight, and that could happen in Africa as well, because Deontay Wild, not I mean Anthony Joshua is from Africa. His family, is African, and so is Ngannou, and we know, but even Deontay Wilder is kind of trying to stay in touch with his African roots, and he's very pro-African, which is a great thing for Deontay Wilder. I really like that about him, the fact that he's so pro-African, which is a good thing. Now, so big things could be coming up. On the African continent, if these fights, whether it's Anthony Joshua, Rumble in the Jungle 2, according to Eddie Hearn, or it could be Ngannou and Deontay Wilder. Any one of these fights, whether it's Anthony Joshua and Ngannou and Deontay Wilder, is big, it's huge, and especially if they're gonna do it in Africa. Okay, doing it in Africa would just a cherry, just adding a cherry on top of everything else, because I mean, it would be massive to have these fights in Africa. The UFC has been talking about doing something in Africa for years now, and but they haven't actually done much. But it looks like it might be Ngannou and the PFL who actually break into the African market, and look like they're going to be dragging along, boxing with them. So this would be great. I would love to see something like that happen, in Africa. Uh, and from what we are hearing from Don Davis of the PFL, that's that once that whole African promotion gets going, it's a continuous thing that's going to be happening in Africa, and there's a lot of guys a lot of fighters in Africa, a lot of young fighters in Africa who would love to get a chance, to get into the PFL or the UFC, just to get into MMA or boxing. And so, with this PFL promotion in Africa, getting young African fighters, training them and bringing them into the league, it's a great thing. And I love to see that. Give these guys, young guys, some opportunity to go out there and do something. And so there's a lot of fighters in Africa, and so that would be very exciting. That would bring a whole new dimension uh, to the PFL, not the MMA in general, not just the PFL specifically, but the MMA in general, and bring a lot more new and exciting talent into both boxing and MMA, which everybody would, that's a win-win for everybody. The youngsters in Africa who would be getting the opportunity, and the promotions who will be getting not just getting new blood in terms of fighters, but new eyes, in terms of customers. You got a whole continent of Africa, that could be brought to the table in terms of adding more fans to the mix. So yeah, everything is looking good right now. In terms of fighting in Africa, and it looks like at this point, Ngannou could possibly become a leader in that effort, which would be great. I mean, if not him, then who? You know what I mean? So yeah, it's a lot of great things going on, and Ngannou is at the forefront of all of that. So, but let's get back to the Ngannou Deontay Wilder, and I mean, we don't even have a fight yet, and we can't really, so but it's hard to really say, but there's no fight yet. A fight might happen, it might not, we don't know, but more than likely it's going to happen. So it's a little premature to talk about who's going to win or who's going to lose, but we can talk about it anyway, because what else is there for us to talk about, right? This is exciting. So if if this fight is to happen, and uh, who do you think would win? I mean, with Ngannou, can Ngannou take out Deontay Wilder? I mean, we saw what he did against Fury, and is the argument to be made that Wilder never did that good against Fury in any of the three fights he had, even though he knocked Fury down in the, I think, in the third fight and the second and the first fight. But for the most part, he got stopped in both the second and third fight, and the first fight was a draw. So even though Ngannou lost to Fury, as we saw, he didn't get knocked out. Okay, in the Deontay Wilder losses to Fury, he got knocked out both times. But I mean, not only did Ngannou possibly win the fight, he didn't get he the one that knocked down Fury, almost knocked him out, and he never really got hurt himself. And so it was a different look than what we saw with Deontay Wilder. So now, so the argument can be made. I mean, even though we know that style make fights, right? So just because you know Ngannou did well against Tyson Fury doesn't mean he's going to do as well against Deontay Wilder, or it could mean he might even do better against Deontay Wilder. We don't know. Okay. Now, before the fight with Ngannou and Tyson, there was a lot of unknowns, and I addressed those in my pre-fight video about the fact that we haven't seen Ngannou before. We haven't seen how he can go the distance. We haven't seen how he's going to take it when somebody fire back punches at him, or if when Fury try to pressure him, how is he going to respond, and all of that. But now that the fight is over, we saw what Ngannou is capable of, and basically, like he said himself, he took the temperature, and now he knows that now he knows the temperature, so he knows what to do now. But in my post-fight analysis, I spoke about the fact that well, actually, I spoke about it in my pre-fight and my post-fight analysis, and in the pre-fight, I said that if if Ngannou is to win, he had to do it before the fourth round. Yeah, whatever he was going to do to beat Fury, he needed to do it before the fourth round because I was thinking that he was going to gas out around the five, six, seven, eighth round, and would make probably have a tough time making it in a further than that. Now that didn't happen. Okay, but that's because Ngannou was worried about that himself, and he talked about that extensively in one of his interviews, where he talked about the fact that he was pacing himself so he wouldn't run out of gas because he didn't want to gas out. So I kind of knew that because I saw that in the when I watched the fight. I could see that he was holding back, and I mentioned that in my post-fight reaction and talk about how he seemed like he was pacing himself, and he was pacing himself by his own admission. And personally, even though he doesn't agree with that, 'cause he was asked whether or not he felt he should have went on ahead and go all out in the third round after he knocked down Fury, which I thought he should have. But he said no. He just he wanted to make sure that he didn't run into anything, because he knows Fury is a very dangerous fighter, and he didn't want to run into anything by going wild or trying to knock Fury out. He also made a surprising statement that he never ever goes up for a knockout in any of his fights. And we know that he most of his fights end in knockout, so it looked like he's just a natural killer because his knockouts just come naturally. Okay, it's not like he's in there looking for a knockout. He said he never goes in there looking for a knockout. If a knockout happens, it just happens, and all his fights, and he says when he did go in there looking for a knockout, the one time that he did go in there looking for a knockout, and are the occasions where he went in there looking for a knockout, it didn't end well for him. So he doesn't do that. So that was a surprising revelation, but it makes sense. So, but despite that, and what he's saying about the Fury, I think he should have went after Fury in the third round. But maybe he felt that he would have gassed out, and which is what he was actually worried about, and so he was a little bit restrained in in how he approached the fight. So that's this is why we didn't see him really go all out, is because he was basically pacing himself because he was worried about going the full 10 rounds. Okay, but it is what it is. I mean, we can Monday morning quarterback him and say, well, you could have did this, you could have did that, but he was the one in there, so he kind of knew what he was doing. He did a great job, even in terms of pacing himself, because he did make the full fight, and he said when he got to like the eighth or ninth round, he was like, oh, okay, I feel good. I mean, and he even went out the end of the Superman punch at one point. I think it was the ninth or the 10th round. I think it was the 10th round. So I guess he felt safer at that point, and he still had the energy. So he said, "Let me try something," and he tried that. It is what it is. But yeah, he fought a restrained fight. Calm. He didn't get too excited. He didn't get flustered. And even when Tyson Fury threw that elbow in his jaw, right over his eye, side of his face there, he didn't even budge. Basically, he just took it and just kept coming. That in itself must have scared the daylights out of Tyson when that happened. When he saw he threw his elbow, and Ngannou just kept coming. Tyson was like, "Oh, what do I have to do to stop this guy?" So yeah, you know, great performance by Ngannou, and I'm looking forward to this fight. I hope really and truly, if I had a choice between if it was up to me, who Ngannou would fight next, whether it's Deontay Wilder or Anthony Joshua, I would pick Deontay Wilder. I want to see him fight Deontay Wilder. Okay, to me that probably be a more exciting fight. Uh, I think he'd probably knock out both of these guys. I think he'd stop both Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua, but I think he'd probably knock out Anthony Joshua a lot quicker than he would Wilder. And that, it seems surprising to say that, but it's not really. I think that he'll probably more worry about the power for Deontay Wilder than he would about the power for Anthony Joshua, because as far as we see, Anthony Joshua doesn't have much power. So I think if Ngannou goes in there against Joshua, I don't think he's going to give Joshua as much respect as he would give Deontay Wilder, because Deontay Wilder is a bigger puncher and is a more dangerous puncher, than Anthony Joshua. Now, Anthony Joshua might be a better boxer, okay, which is not saying much because, I'm not that impressed with the boxing skills of, Deontay Wilder. But again, I like to point out, I'm saying that with a caveat because we don't know what Deontay Wilder is going to look like now. I mean, he was already improving under Malik Scott, and the third fight with Fury, and so he could have improved immensely, from that time until now. We don't know. So we could be looking at a whole different Deontay Wilder. Nobody knows what Deontay Wilder looks like right now. And to say that, it's the same. I don't. I mean, I wouldn't. I would say that I don't think it's going to be the same Deontay Wilder we see, because I believe that Malik Scott was really making he was making headway in improving Deontay Wilder. He just didn't have enough time. I didn't think he had enough time. Doing that fight. 'Cause to do that in just one fight, just not. I don't think it's possible. So I didn't think that he had enough time to do what he needed to do and to make it sink in and become like second nature for Deontay Wilder. But since that fight, it's been over a year, almost 2 years now, and I'm pretty sure he must have had some improvement. I mean, we saw him in the Helena's fight, but we didn't see much because that fight ended immediately, so we didn't get to see him display much. Okay, but his usual knockout power. So against a guy like Ngannou, we might see Deontay Wilder, uh, show us some of his new improvements, his new and improved skills, which I'm hoping that he does have, because I would hate to think that it's been over a year and Deontay Wilder has had all this time and he has not improved his boxing skills. So I doubt that very seriously, because I think he's probably improved, and I would love to see what that improvement looks like. Okay, because I criticize Deontay Wilder a lot because of his the what he his work ethic in terms of improving his boxing skills, because I always thought that Deontay Wilder got the perfect frame for boxing. He's wiry, he's long, okay, so he don't have all these big gigantic muscles slowing him down, okay. So and then he has the power, okay. So if Deontay Wilder really had the boxing skills to go along with that, he'd be the most dangerous fighter in the heavyweight division. He could be a lot faster than these guys that he's fighting, move more than them, but he doesn't really do any of that, and we all know what the history is. So I just always thought that if he was to improve his boxing, he could be a much better fighter instead of just depending on his one punch knockout, which to me is like a crutch. You're depending on a one punch that might never come. And talking all this talk about all I need is 12 seconds, it's just nonsense. And at the end of the day, we saw that was exposed against Tyson Fury, and when you can't land that punch, or when you land that punch and the person doesn't go down, then what are you gonna do next? And we saw what came next. He got knocked out, okay, because that's what you expect to happen when your one punch don't work, and the person don't go down, or you can't land your punch. And so we all saw the history. So an improved Deontay Wilder would be a dangerous fighter in the heavyweight division. He'd be the most dangerous fighter, even probably more dangerous than Ngannou. But we're gonna have to wait and see. And if the Deontay Wilder, now I'm leaning towards Ngannou in a fight between Deontay Wilder and Ngannou. But again, I gotta make the point that I'm basing that on the old Deontay Wilder that we all know. I don't know what the new Deontay Wilder looks like. Okay, so until I see the new Deontay Wilder, I'm gonna go ahead and go with Ngannou. But if there is a new Deontay Wilder, if Deontay Wilder has improved his boxing skills, his punch selection, and all of that, then and if he does any kind of movement, like now, not that he, I would think that he'd be very dangerous for Ngannou and could probably beat Ngannou. Okay, because he does have the experience edge. Okay, and he does have the power. And Ngannou is big, but I don't care how big he is. I don't think that very many people can take a straight right hand from Deontay Wilder, no matter how big they are. And maybe one punch might not do it, or maybe two, but a combination of punches, or even two or three punches landing on. I think Ngannou would go down because Deontay Wilder does have the punch. I mean, he has a very strong, punch, and I think that most people will go down once that punch lands. And we saw that against Fury. Even Fury, as big as he is, he went down. Okay, against Wilder more than once, and so I don't see any problem with Wilder knocking down or knocking out Ngannou if he can connect. Okay, I mean he might have to connect more than once, but he could probably do it. But that's going to all depend on what kind of skills he's acquired in the interim since we last saw him fight against Helenius and Tyson Fury. Like I said, we didn't see much of the Helenius fight because he just knocked him out as per the course, as usual. So we have to wait to see him in a fight where the fight actually gets past the first round to see how good he actually is, if there's any improvements or anything like that. And I would think a fight with Ngannou would bring out. It's a perfect case where we can see what skills that Deontay Wilder might display if he has a new and improved repertoire, you know, in his bag. So yeah, so by all means and all measures, a fight between Wilder and Ngannou would be very exciting and very welcome. A lot of people look forward to it, including myself. I would definitely want to see it much more so than a fight with Wilder and with Wilder. I mean, with I'd much rather see a fight with Ngannou and Wilder than Ngannou and Joshua at this point. Okay, that's basically what it comes down to. So with that said, we can talk about uh, the Joshua Ngannou situation. If that actually, we don't know which fight is going to happen first, but we do know that we do know that one of those fights could happen and could happen fairly soon. And you know, more likely it looks like it's going to be the Deontay Wilder, even though we see that Eddie Hearn is is investing it and pushing heavily. I mean, it was even an hour after the fight, I think, with Ngannou and Fury when Eddie Hearn came out and started talking about fighting Joshua and talking about how Ngannou against Joshua is a big fight and the Rumble in the Jungle too, and how all Joshua needs is 3 rounds to finish off Ngannou. And then he revised that later on in another interview and said he was a little bit hasty. Maybe he said might need 6 rounds. It might take around 6 rounds to finish Ngannou. You know, so I mean I don't know. Eddie Hearn, first he says that Ngannou did a great job, and Ngannou won the fight, right, against Fury. But and then he says Fury needs to retire and that the Usyk fight is dead. But then he goes on to say, that Joshua could defeat Ngannou in 3 rounds. What? I mean, and he's talking about how Fury career could be ended by Joshua. Well, I mean, I don't know about all that. I mean, now he's coming out and talking this big talk. I mean, what happened to all these years that when Joshua was on top and he could have fought Fury if I mean, I don't know if they tried to make that fight or how that went down. But I'm thinking now that Joshua is kind of he's not the man anymore. Really, he's kind of becoming a little bit irrelevant at this point. Up until this new excitement in the heavyweight division with Ngannou. So to say that Anthony Joshua, I don't see Anthony Joshua ending Tyson Fury's career at all. Not if he fight the way he fought against Usyk. Okay. Um, I think Joshua is just too stiff. No matter how much training he gets, he seems that he doesn't know how to move his head, and he just looks robotic in there, no matter what. And he's been through a lot of different trainers, and that hasn't changed really. Now he's with Derek James, and I didn't see really much improvement. I mean, he hasn't really fought anybody yet, but uh, you know, it would be interesting to see how he did against Ngannou or against Wilder or even against Fury. So maybe those fights can happen now. We can get these big fights now that we have somebody stirring the pot like Ngannou, and like I said, bringing some excitement back to a lackluster uh, heavyweight division. So yeah, let's hope that these fights happen. Uh, and it's not just these guys out there talking. Let's hope all these fights actually do happen. You know. But like I said, before I even continue, let me just tell you guys: make sure you go to TB Combat Sports. You can check out the latest news about MMA. Uh, you get the latest articles about what's going on with MMA, and so yeah, go and check it out. TBE Combat Sports. Go to the YouTube channel, TBE Combat Sports. I mean, the website is tbecombatsports.net. And you can go to YouTube, subscribe and get the latest content that we're gonna be putting up on that page. So yeah, look out for TBE Combat Sports. Okay. Uh, we just started the channel recently. Started putting content there, so go over there and check it out. Here we go. All right. So yeah, that's TB Combat Sport. Go and check it out, people. Go to the website, YouTube. Go to the website. Go to YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. And as you know, we got TBE boxing as well. Check it out. A lot of good action over there. As a matter of fact, we have the Ngannou Fury fight there in 4K. Go over there and check out the fight if you haven't seen it already. Okay. You can watch the full fight on TBE Boxing on TBE TV right there. Oh, Shaki Foster. That's it. Make sure you tune in. TBEboxing.com. Go and check it out. Oh, this fight right here, the BKFC fight was crazy. Hunt versus Henry. I have that fight over there on TBE Combat Sports. Make sure you go over and check out that fight. That fight was off the chain. I mean, this guy Hunt is a killer. Great fight. There's also another fight with him and a guy called Richmond. Great fights. Go make sure you go to the TB Combat Sport and check out those fights. This fight don't last long, so don't blink. It's a great fight. Okay, definitely go and check it out. That's TBE Combat Sports and TBEboxing.com. All right, TBCombatSport.net. Uh, TBEboxing.com. That's TBEcombatsports.net and TBEboxing.com. Go over there now, check out the website, watch get the latest boxing news and headlines, and make sure you go and subscribe to our TBE Combat Sports channel. And you can see we have a donation, Cash App, Patreon, merchandise. You can, throw in a donation if you feel like it. Okay. Yeah. So, people can let me know in the comments. Which fight would you rather have next? Would you rather have the Deontay Wilder Ngannou fight, or would you rather have uh, Ngannou versus Joshua? Let me know in the comments. Which one you prefer. Me personally, I want to see the Deontay Wilder Ngannou fight first, and then I guess the winner of that fight will fight Joshua next, and then the winner of that fight will fight the winner of the Tyson Fury Usyk fight. So again, we got a little more excitement in the heavyweight division. I you know I don't know now. I Deontay Wilder did mention, like I said earlier, Deontay Wilder is talking about, going into the cage. I mean, I, don't- I mean, that's an interesting thing. I mean, if Deontay Wilder actually pulls this off, it would be very interesting to see that. I mean, I don't know how Deontay Wilder would do it in MMA. From what I'm hearing from what we heard from Ngannou, he said that Deontay Wilder has been training for MMA for a while now. Okay, he's been training supposedly. So this could get very interesting. I mean, imagine Deontay Wilder, uh, for example, fighting either Ngannou or even John Jones, in a crossover fight, or Anthony Joshua versus John. I mean, yeah, we could have some great fights uh, in not just the UFC, but we have, like I said, you have the PFL, you have Glory, you have One, you have Rising. So we're going to see a lot of crossover fights because it looks like these crossover fights are making good money. And from what we are hearing about the Ngannou Fury showdown, we're hearing talk of you know upwards of 1.5 million pay-per-view. I mean, excuse me, which is great news because we all know that MMA outperforms boxing when it comes to pay-per-view. I mean, they routinely do six, seven, 800 million pay-per-view in MMA. It's not new. Okay, so that can bring a lot of new eyes to boxing. To bring back a lot of new eyes. I think a lot of people that's in MMA, they used to be boxing fans. They left boxing, because there's so much MMA going on right now with all these different leagues: PFL, Horizon, Glory, One. I mean, too many to mention. There's a lot more than what I just mentioned. Okay, so if they're gonna be crossover fights, there could be a lot of good fights, with different people in MMA and PFL. Maybe we might see a PFL fighter cross over and challenge Clarissa Shields. That would be great. I don't know if who that would be, but that would be a great to see. So I mean, she's already with PFL, so that's not something that's impossible to happen. So a lot, a lot could happen. This fight between Ngannou and Deontay Wilder, when it comes off, if it comes off, which I think is most likely going to come off, that could be that could set the stage for a lot of exciting and great fights. For the future, that would be a win-win for both boxing and MMA, right? So the fight with Tyson Fury and Ngannou, that a lot of people thought the fight was going to be a mismatch. They thought that it was going to be a farce, as I'm hearing people say it was going to be. It's a joke. A lot of people say it was a joke. It's a distraction from the real fight between Usyk and Fury. That Fury was trying to duck Usyk. That he's fighting MMA guys that can't fight. And then the fight happened, and we all saw what happened. And then everybody is changing their tune now. and so it's great that that happened, and we could see a lot more fights now between MMA and I even saw John Jones. He talked about this fight, and he said that it was it was a great thing that Ngannou did, and that it opened a lot of doors for future fights between cross promotion fights. You know, even though I saw it, John Jones has said that MMA, that he had said that Francis could have fought him, but he chose not to fight him, which is the same talking point we heard from Dana White, that he was talking about how Ngannou chose to take a. Basically, he was trying to say that Ngannou took the easy route instead of staying with UFC, not making any real money. You know what I mean? And then fight a dangerous guy like John Jones. Uh, for the little money that he was getting, from what I heard, and so John Jones is saying that he should have stayed and fight him. Yeah, but then we saw what he did. He bettered himself. He moved away from UFC, left the UFC, and now he's the most sought after fighter in boxing and MMA at this point in time. Okay, so he's the man right now, and so a fight between him and John Jones would be a huge fight as well. Uh, a fight with him and anybody in the UFC would be anyone that, the top heavyweights in the UFC would be a great fight. And then the backstory, of him leaving UFC and Dana White, the whole 9 yards, all of that could be part of the mix, and that would make it a great, huge fight. So basically, Ngannou have a lot of options right now, and he's in the catbird seat. He can basically do what he wants to, and it looks like he's eager to take up the challenge and move forward. Uh, it's a great thing. I'm glad to see it happening. I would love to see more fights between MMA and the UFC guys. Bring more eyes to boxing, because boxing is been suffering a lack of viewership now. For quite a few years. But then again, that had a lot to do with the fact that the heavyweight division has been kind of lackluster, like I said, and also you know. Just the fact that there's not really much going on in the heavyweight division. Okay, and then we had the other division, like even the middleweight division, like the heavyweight division, the middleweight division, the welterweight division. Those are historically very active divisions with a lot of stuff going on. And for the last couple of years, we haven't seen much from the heavyweight, not much from the middleweight. Middleweight is totally dead. We don't even know what the hell is going on up there. Not much at all. Uh, Welterweight, that whole Spence Crawford thing took many years to resolve, and it's finally been resolved, recently, and so that's out of the way now. Uh, and we could see some more, you know, but for many years we had welterweight, middleweight, welterweight, nothing going on. Even lightweight, we had a few fights. We finally got the Javante Davis and Ryan Garcia, which which really wasn't much at the end of the day, because just another mismatch between Javante and Ryan Garcia. Because Ryan really had no business in the ring with Javante at the end of the day, especially with the whole rehydration clause nonsense that went down. So you know, but suffice to say that, like I said, the boxing was kind of dead for a couple of years, but now it's getting back exciting again. Fights are happening. And now with this new addition to the heavyweight division, I mean, I don't want to put too much weight on Ngannou's back to single-handedly resurrect the heavyweight division, to save boxing or anything like that. But I mean, it's just that he has, he's added some excitement in the mix, and the heavyweight division desperately needed that. Okay, desperately. I mean, desperately. Okay, they really needed that, an infusion of fresh blood, and the Predator is definitely on the hunt, and it looks like we're getting again, like I said, some excitement back in boxing. So now we all know, that Wilder has a lot of fans out there. He has some dedicated fans, and they really support him because Wilder is their king, and they take their king very seriously. So King Wilder, you know, King Wilder is like very popular among his fans, to say the least. Okay, he's very popular. Now, his fans. There's a few names for his fans. Some people call him the Wildettes. Some people call them the Wilderettes. Okay, uh, but he does have those fans, and so we all saw what happened when he lost the Fury on those two occasions. The Wilderettes, they went off on YouTube. They started the whole glove gate controversy, the water bottle controversy, the dent in the head controversy. You name it. There was a whole bunch of different controversies that was gymmed up and put out there, and by the Wilderettes, Wilders, which is the popular name for the Wilder fans, and they gave Fury hell. They gave Fury hell, in between and after those fights. So I guess we could look forward to seeing the Wilder Reds again. As you can see from our video, uh, my as you can see, I have from the title of my video, I said Wilder Reds should break out their crying towels, and 'cause they did a lot of crying during the Fury and the three Fury fights. The Wilder Reds was out there bawling their heads off. So with Ngannou and the Wilder, the way I see this fight going, it looks like there might be some more. It look like the Wilder Reds are going to have to bring out their crying towels again, because it looks like, from what I can see, again, let me just make a point to say that this is based on the old Wilder. I don't know what the new Wilder is like. It could be a whole different ball game. I got to see the new Wilder to see, but I'm just going to make my assessment based on what I know about Wilder already, and from what we are seeing. And I'm thinking that Ngannou should take this fight with him and Wilder. I mean, I don't think the fight is going to go the distance. Somebody's going to get knocked out more than likely. When you got the two biggest punchers in the division going head to head, somebody's going to get stopped. Is it going to be Wilder or is it going to be Ngannou? We don't know. But again, based on the fact that I'm going from the old Wilder, the one that I do know, the one that I've seen in the ring, I don't know what this new Wilder is looking like. It could be a whole different ball game. It could be a 50, 100% improvement. We don't know yet, so we'll have to wait and see. But for now, until further notice, I'm leaning towards Ngannou in a fight with Wilder, simply because it seems to me that he's the better boxer and he's a stronger guy. And I don't really put too much. I don't really put too much stock in strength and power in boxing. Because in order for all that to work, you got to land your punches, and boxing is about hitting and not getting hit. So if you stay away from a guy's power and keep him at bay, I don't see power. A good boxer should be able to overcome a powerful boxer. 9 times out of 10, I would think. But it's all about concentration and execution. And we saw from Mayweather, he wasn't the most powerful boxer in the world, but he beat a lot of guys and a lot of strong power punches, you know, uh, that came in front of Mayweather, and we all saw what he did to them with just his boxing skills, including Canelo, the guy that everybody is saying nowadays is too strong for Crawford, which I don't buy that. I think Crawford would outbox Canelo. I think he has enough strong strength and enough power to keep Canelo honest, and I think he could possibly defeat Canelo in a fight. I would give it at least a 60-70% chance to beat Canelo. Okay, there's a 30% or 40% chance that Canelo could win that fight, but I would lean heavily towards Crawford in the fight with Canelo. One, if he was to move him and add on some additional weight. So uh, so I don't really put too much stock in when you say, oh, this guy Canelo is too powerful. Power. Yeah, the game is not called power. It's called boxing. Okay, and power, is not really the determining factor. It's a factor, but it's not the determining factor. Okay, and I think that a great boxer would beat a great puncher 9 times out of 10. It's just that because it's about boxing. Okay, you know what I mean. So that's what it's all about. So you know, uh, a fight with I would love to see that fight between Canelo and Crawford if it ever happens. But back to this Deontay Wilder situation, like for the last couple of months, it's been Crawford, and Crawford has been the face of boxing for the last couple of months. Everybody's been talking about Crawford. Now Ngannou is on the scene, and so everybody's talking about Ngannou now. And like I said, it's bringing back excitement to boxing. Everybody's excited, including the people in MMA. Everyone is talking about this fight. Everyone is a lot of people saying that Tyson Fury should retire. He's washed. He's finished. I mean, I wouldn't go that far, but you know, there's definitely a new excitement in boxing now. We have PFL fighter Ngannou out there making noise, and you have a lot of people out there trying to jump on the bandwagon in terms of getting a fight with him, and so he's basically sitting in a good position where he can get basically whatever he wants. I mean, from what I'm hearing recently that the WBO, is it WBO? I think it's WBO is making some kind of uh, setting up a situation where you know the fight between him and Wilder could be sanctioned supposedly. Okay, so because we all know that the fight between Ngannou and Fury was kind of a funny fight because Fury's belt wasn't at stake in this fight. And it was a 10 round fight. It wasn't like a title fight or anything like that, which is kind of strange. But I guess it was supposed to be an exhibition fight, but then they made it into a real fight. you know, but if it's a real fight, then the belt should be on the line. You know what I mean? I don't. But anyway, end of the day, we all saw what happened. I don't think there was any way that even though Ngannou came close, that there was any way he's going to win a decision against Fury at the end of the day when you have all these things already set up for Usyk and Fury, and everybody money already spent, venues already locked in, and so everything was moving forward with the Usyk fight already. So to have Ngannou go in there and upset that apple cart would wasn't gonna really happen. I don't think. Not if he would have knocked out Fury, then that would be a whole different ball game. But he himself would admit that things already set, so he didn't see himself coming in there and upsetting anything. At the end of the day, when it especially the fight came down to a decision, which it did, and so we all saw the result. People are saying Ngannou won, some are saying that Fury won. Not as many, but at the end of the day, the fight between Usyk and Tyson's already set. It's already the ball is already rolling, and that so naturally that the decision was going to probably go towards Fury because if it went to Ngannou, then all those preparations and all the money that's been put out for the Usyk Tyson Fury fight would have been in vain, and so you know the rest is the rest is history. It is what it is. So now I would like you guys to go ahead and make a comment down there about who you think would win between Deontay and Ngannou. And whether you think it's going to be a knockout or if it's going to go the distance. Who you going to put your money on? Like I said, I'm leaning towards Ngannou in that fight. And same thing with if he was to fight Joshua, I'm leaning towards Ngannou in a fight between against Joshua or Deontay Wilder. Okay, I would lean towards Ngannou in both of those fights simply because I think that Both of those guys. We saw Joshua get beat by Usyk. We saw Deontay get beat by Fury. I mean, it wasn't a fluke. It happened three times, basically. Or actually two times in a draw. And the same thing with Anthony Joshua. He fought Usyk twice and he got beat twice. And he did worse in the respective fights. The first fight he did okay. The second fight he did worse than the first fight. So even though he hurt Usyk, I thought, to the body in the second fight, just like we saw with the last fight that Usyk had, where he got hurt to the body and they called it a low blow, even though I don't think that was a low blow. So Usyk seems vulnerable at this point in his career. It looks like you just need the right guy to go in there and deal with him. I think that would he? I think that the Usyk that beat. I think the Usyk that beat Anthony Joshua would have beaten Tyson Fury on Saturday night. That's what I think. I think that Usyk would have beaten that Fury. Okay, I think Fury. It looks like Fury is ready to go. I think it's a possibility that this fight between him and Usyk is not looking so much in Tyson Fury's favor anymore. But then again, Usyk hasn't been looking that good either. So both of these guys look like they done lost a little bit of their mojo. Both Usyk and Fury. So I guess when they fight, we'll see who lost more mojo. If it's Usyk or if it's Fury. But they definitely seem diminished. Okay, as fighters, from what I can see from their last fights. And you know how it goes. You're only as good as the last fight. Okay, and so in their last fight, neither of them was that good at the end of the day. But only time will tell. Once they get in the ring together, and we'll see. Where they're at. But it's a fight for undisputed, and that fight needs to happen, and it needs to happen soon. Okay, so we don't know when it's going to happen now because, like, it's supposed to be in December, but we are hearing, Fury talk about see you guys next year. So it looked like, they just talk about him going home and rest up and this and that and the other. He doesn't want to talk about fighting right now because he's getting ready to go with his family. He hasn't seen his family in 12 weeks. So all of this talk, so we don't know how everything is going to play out, but we just have to, we're going to have to just wait and see how everything play out in the end, you know. But yep, Deontay Wilder Ngannou fight is very exciting news indeed. Everyone and their mother would love to see that fight. So you have Ngannou have a lot of options. You have the Deontay Wilder option. He has the Anthony Joshua option, and he also has the rematch with Fury option. So he has three big fights that could happen in the next couple of years. And Ngannou did say he want to fight at least two times next year. Okay, he want to fight at least twice for 2024. So one of those fights could be Wilder, and the other one could be Joshua, or maybe a rematch with Tyson Fury. We don't know, but we're gonna see how it all plays out in the end. It should be very interesting. Okay, and there's also the elephant in the room. It's the PFL because Ngannou is a PFL fighter. He represents the PFL promotion. Okay, so can we look forward to see more PFL fighters crossing over into the heavyweight division, or even not just the heavyweight but other divisions in boxing? Is that a possibility? We don't know. That could be it could be, and again, at the end of the day, my personal opinion is that boxing needs new blood. Especially the heavyweight division, they need new blood. Excuse me. A lot of these fighters gotten kind of lazy, I think. Fighting once every 2 years, once every 3 years. You know, not fighting the fights that people want to see. Fighting these weird fights that nobody want to see and nobody asks for. And this is what's been going on in boxing, which is why, I guess people just don't get it. I mean, if you give people what they want to see, they're going to support it. But if you're giving them what they don't want, then why would they support that? And so we see in MMA that we see that people get the fights that they want, and they don't have to wait long for them either. Okay, you know, these fighters fight like these fighters fight the way uh, boxing used to be back in the day. Okay, back in the day, you know, say let's we can go back to Mike Tyson's day. You know, not even that far away, that far ago, long ago. Fighters fought like 6, 7 times a year. You know, I mean, you know, they every 4 months, every 5 months, every, 4 months they're fighting. Every 3 months, fighters are fighting for the most part. You know, and this is how the MMA fighters fight. They don't fight every 2 months or every 3 months, but they fight. You know, more than once a year, sometimes 2, 3 times a year, 4 times a year, sometimes. And you know, this is the way boxing used to be until we got to the current crop of fighters who, you know, like they fight once every year or once every 2 years. Sometimes, in some cases, once every 3 years, these guys are fighting. I mean, and this is a routine for some of these guys. So you know, boxing has basically fell off. I mean, and the reason why MMA is so popular and so their pay-per-view numbers are so high is because the people get to get the fights that they want to see, and they get to see these, and they get them in a timely fashion. Okay, they don't have to wait 5 years to get a fight that they've been asking for. You know, if they have to wait 5 months, that's long. They might not even wait 5 months for a fight they're asking for. Okay, as soon as the people ask for the fight, they get it right away, and people appreciate that, and they appreciate that they show their appreciation with their dollars. Okay, so people buy the EFL pay-per-views, and they go to all, like, whether it's UFC 295, 294, whatever. People support it, and they go there and they spend their money. Okay, as opposed to Boston, and people go, well, I ain't getting the fight I want anyway, so I might just go and watch this on. I might as well just get my fire stick and I go watch it. I'm not gonna pay. They're saying, people are saying, I'm not paying $80, $90 for a fight I don't even want. Why should I pay for that? I'll just watch it on, wait till it comes on TV and watch it for free, or get a bootleg. The people get, bootleg it. So I mean, it is what it is. People will, if the fights are genuine and the fights are real, and it's what people are asking for, people have no problem paying for these fights. Okay, they have no problem whatsoever. But the longer boxing continue to, the longer boxing continue to not make the fights that people want to see, keep giving people these terrible fights, these mismatches, and so forth and so on. The longer that continues, is the worse the numbers for boxers are going to get. And it's going to get to a point where, no matter what you do, the numbers is not going to go back to what they were. Okay, it's going to be a tipping point at some point, and and you know, uh, you know, it's not going to be good for boxing. So, we need to make these fights. Boxing need to make the fights that people want to see, and not just make the fights that people want to see, but they need to make them in a timely fashion. We should have to wait 10 and 5 years like we did with Mayweather and Pacquiao and Spence and Crawford. We shouldn't have to wait that long for these fights. Okay, so I guess in a way, you know, it's six of one and half a dozen of another at the end of the day, because with the MMA, a lot of people say that, especially the UFC, people say that these guys don't get paid much, which they don't, and but the control that Dana White has over the promotion makes it so that he can make these fights happen, that people want to see. The problem with Dana and the payment setup that they have over there is that even though the people are getting the fights that they want to see, and there's a lot of money being made, the fighter's not getting paid the right amount of money. And I don't understand that, because when it comes to pay-per-view and numbers and things like that, MMA does good. So why aren't the fighters getting paid? I don't understand why the fighters are getting paid so little. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, MMA is doing much better than boxing, so the fighters should be getting paid much. They should be getting paid better than boxers at the end of the day. But this is not happening from what we are seeing, and it's all have a lot to do with Dana White and his whole. We saw how it all played out with Ngannou. Him not wanting to pay Ngannou, and Ngannou, ended up leaving. A lot of guys just end up staying and just suck it up and take whatever Dana White give them. Like John Jones and Adesanya and all these guys. But these guys probably make great money. They probably make good money. I don't think they make as much as boxers, but I'm pretty sure they make pretty good money. So they're probably not that unhappy. But for the vast majority of MMA guys, they don't really get paid that well. Okay, and to get 100 what 500,000 dollars for a title fight and things like that, I mean, that's crazy. When you think about it. I'm not sure what that business model. I'm sure MMA, UFC is making crazy dollars, but what they do with that money, I have no idea. They're definitely not paying the fighters much. So, and it's not like they have like a association or a organization for MMA fighters. Because what happens is that it looks like when an MMA fighter gets to the point where his career is not what it used to be, or it's not as popular as it used to be, they just cut him. They just cut him and that's it. He's on his own. You can go and do whatever you want. You can go and fight with maybe PFL or anybody else if they want him, or Bellator. But other than that, the UFC just drop these guys and just leave them hanging basically, with no kind of there's no follow up. There's no like organization to make sure that they're getting like some kind of stipend or something, to help them transition it back into regular life as a ex-fighter. It's none of that. I mean, it's not like in boxing either. So but again, boxing pays a lot more, and if you're smart with your money in boxing, when you get paid your money instead, if you don't blow your money, you could actually make something for yourself and have something for yourself after boxing. Like Floyd Mayweather and like a lot of other boxers who manage their money very well, they're able to do that. It's a little more difficult in MMA because you can go through a whole MMA career and still not make the kind of money that a boxer make in one fight. Let's think about that for a minute. Some boxers make more in one fight than an MMA guy, top MMA guy, making his whole career. Right? Especially like a fighter like Canelo. Okay, $50 million for a fight. That's more than most all MMA fighters making their whole career. Okay, so that's the difference with boxing. So if you're smart with your money in boxing, you could come out at top at the end of your career, even though there's a lot of fighters who are not at the top tier and they come out of it, with nothing really, and there's nothing, there for them to help them. There should be some type of social security for boxers and for MMA fighters, where once they retire and they should have some kind of a retirement. They should have some. There's enough money that's been made in boxing and MMA for them to set up something like that for the boxers, like a retirement fund for boxers, and once they retire, they get a certain amount of money. Because these guys go in there, they give it their all. So I mean, boxing, MMA, and even very dangerous sport. This is not like basketball or football or baseball. This is very dangerous a sport. Even though football is dangerous as well, and you could get killed in injured or paralyzed in football, but in MMA it's way more likely that that could happen to you. And these guys go in there and give it their all, and we want them to go out there and give it, leave everything in the ring, as we, the saying goes, okay. But then when they retire, there's nothing for them, and nobody don't really care about them after they retire. You know what I'm saying? We're not, they go in there and they leave it all in the ring, and then when they retire, they have nothing. They're broke, and I mean, now for a lot of boxers, not a lot, but some of them, they mismanage their money, because some of these guys make great money. But for the I'm talking about the vast majority who don't make all that top dollar. You know, they don't have nothing left after boxing, and not even a job. A few of these guys get jobs with 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 as announcers, like you see Sean Porter and people like that. Well, how many Sean Porter do you have out there that's gonna they're gonna get that? Sean Porter was a high profile fighter, one of the top guys in the PBC. So it's expected that he would get a position, and so forth and so on. But what about the rest of these guys who is not that high profile that we don't a lot of people don't really know about? So yeah, boxing needs to set up some type of a social security, some type of fund. Same thing with MMA for these guys, so that after boxing, they have something, to go with, and even if it's just jobs as coaches or as announcers, and all of these guys that's in boxing, they should have priority over jobs when it like if you're looking for an announcer for you have people that go to college and then they become journalists and they get these jobs. Women, men, they have these jobs announcing, and they get a lot of top jobs in the sports industry. But I believe that those jobs should go to the people that's like, especially with boxing. Our sports, okay, it might be okay because some of those other sports, they have more things in place for their sports people. But boxing and MMA don't really have anything. All those jobs that you see in announcing and this and that and the other, all those jobs should be put aside for the actual fighters when they retire. You shouldn't have people coming in from college making money, big salaries in as announcers and pundits, when you have actual boxers and fighters who spent their whole life doing it and fighting, not having anything, and you have these people coming in to get these jobs. All these jobs should be put aside. At least a good percentage of these jobs should be put aside and should go to the actual fighters who are who are no longer fighting. That's just the way I see it. I think that would go a long way in solving some of the issues that we see with a lot of these fighters who end up with nothing at the end of their career, and it's just not right for that to happen. I would love to see more of that, going on, but we'll see how that all plays out. I mean, this has been going on for years in boxing, and now it's going on with MMA, and so you got guys out there who are trying to make a difference. Surprisingly, you have people like Jake Paul, is out there trying to make a difference in fighters' pay, which is a great thing. You also, by the way, Jake Paul is another PFL guy in the PFL, and I saw an interview with Don Davis for the PFL, and he was talking about fighters' pay and how the fact that he was looking for a fight between he was trying to make a fight between who is it? He's trying to make this fight, and they're willing to pay like $10 to $15 million. Uh, I think it's McGregor. No, not McGregor. I'm not sure if it's Ngannou. No, it's not Ngannou. But anyway, the bottom line is that he's talking about the fact that they ask him how could he pay so much. That's unheard of in MMA, and that's the PFL co-founder I'm talking about, Don Davis. He said that the reason why they can afford to pay that much is because they're willing to just break even on the promotion and give most of the money to 50% of the money to the fighters in the pay per view and all of that. I was like, whoa, that's I mean, now I'm pretty sure they're doing that because they're trying to get market share, increase their market share. So they're willing to break even to increase their market share because that'll be a better for them in the long run. And with with payouts like that, they probably will increase their market share. They've been probably doing that steadily over the for a while now, especially with Ngannou, as the face of the PFL, and the kind of accolades that he's getting now. PFL is gonna get is becoming more high profile, and so but I mean, Don Davis got the right idea, I think, and he's on the right track. When it comes to the pay structure, he's talking about and I think that Don Davis, who signed Jake Paul and Ngannou and Clarissa Shields, I think that he's doing that in conjunction with Jake Paul in Jake Paul's efforts to increase fighters' pay, and that's a very commendable thing. I think they should continue doing that, and it's a great move by Don Davis and Jake Paul and everybody that's involved with that situation. I think that they're doing a great thing, and I hope hopefully they get rewarded for that because making sure the fighters are getting taken care of is a good thing. And I think they shouldn't just. That's a great thing what they're doing in terms of the pay, but the most important thing I believe is to set up some type of structure to where at the end of their career, fighters still get some kind of retirement money from retirement, some kind of fund, some retirement fund where they can continue to make a few dollars after they retire and don't have to be broke, and out there, you know, looking, ridiculous uh, after having a great career. And then, there's no reason why you should have a great career and then end up broke in whether it's boxing or MMA. That should never happen. These guys, like I said, they put it all on the line and they should be rewarded for it, at the end of the day. But it is what it is. So we'll see how everything plays out. So we talked about Ngannou versus Wilder. We talked about Joshua. There's a lot of talks going on now about these fights, making these fights happen. A lot of excitement out there now in boxing and in MMA. We can see a lot of crossover fights coming up in the near future. Uh, More than likely, we're going to see a Deontay Wilder versus Francis Ngannou before we see Joshua Ngannou. But we don't know because again we see that Eddie Hearn is out there aggressively pushing for the fight with Ngannou and Joshua. So you know how this thing works. Money talks, and bullshit walks. So whoever is talking the most money is probably who the fight is going to be made with, and but we don't know how it's going to play out. Matchroom has money. They got that DAZN money, and I don't know who Deontay Wilder and they have the PFL. The PFL is out there. They're the one that's doing the promotion. Will be promoting this. Will be a big part of this fight in Africa if it was to happen. Because it would be happen. This fight would happen under the aegis of the Africa promotion that Ngannou is supposed to be in charge of via the PFL. Okay, he's like the big man with that Africa promotion. So that's supposed to be a permanent thing that's going to start sometime either this year or next year. No, I think they're saying by 2025 all that should be set up, and they should have an Africa. They should be in the African market and have a PFL Africa going strong by 2025 and having fights in Africa and so forth and so on. So yeah, big news, exciting news going on in with with the advent of the Predator in the boxing and in MMA. He went from getting paid almost nothing in the UFC to being the man in boxing and MMA at the moment, and so it's a great it's been a great journey for Ngannou from the salt mines of Cameroon to the top of the MMA and boxing world. What a story! So yeah, people, that's it. That's what's going down. Uh, you know, big fights coming up soon, exciting fights coming up, and I'm looking forward to all of it. So with that said, we're gonna leave this live stream here. You can look forward to seeing more live streams every day at 9 a.m. Okay, I'll be going live, and we'll be talking boxing and MMA. So yeah, it is what it is. Hopefully, we get to see this fight sooner rather than later with Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury. Uh, I mean, not Tyson Fury, Ngannou, and or either Joshua and Ngannou, whichever one. I'd much rather see the Deontay Wilder fight first, but I'm not opposed to the Joshua fight at all. I wouldn't mind seeing that either. So, some good fights coming up. Hopefully, they happen within a timely fashion, and we see them soon. So, with that said, I'm gonna leave it there. This is TBE Boxing saying, I'm out.
Got the money for minutes, pretty bitch, gotta show me titties. This is the life I chose, huh? On the block with the pole, huh? This is the life that I chose, huh? On the block with the pole, huh? That's like it for riches, huh? And I got the glitzy run up on me, I'ma make you get it. I'ma make you get it.